Hey there, this is Dennis Anyone with Dennis Hensley. It's a podcast about making things up and making things happen. I love talking to creative people. I think art and creativity make the world go around, make life worth living. So I love talking to people that do it. Today my guest is an actor and a singer and a social media star, Garrett Clayton. Perhaps you've seen him in the Disney Channel Teen Beach movies. He was a big hit in those. The first time I saw him was in the movie King Cobra, which was a true crime story about a real-life gay porn star, Brent Corrigan, and Garrett played Brent, and I just thought he nailed it. I was like, boy, this kid really gets this character, and I've been keeping an eye on him ever since. He was in the live version of Hairspray that they did on television, and he's also big on TikTok and Instagram, and I love to follow his dancing videos and the other things he does. He also does some live stage shows. He played Frankenfurter not long ago in Rocky Horror Show. He's got a cabaret coming up here in Los Angeles called Hero to Villain, his own show, at the Catalina Jazz Club on the 19th of September, and he's taking it to Oscars in Palm Springs on the 21st. So I was excited to get to talk to him. But before we get to the interview, I want to remind you that there are a couple of ways that you can support this podcast, Dennis Anyone, if you enjoy it. You can contribute to my virtual tip jar, help me cover my expenses. To do that, you go to DennisAnyone.net, and there's a link there that you can click to. There's also a thing called Buy Me a Coffee, where you can just click on that and buy me a coffee, and it kind of makes my day when people do that. So that's at DennisAnyone.net. The other thing you could do is become a subscriber to DNR Studios. I'm part of a group of shows under the Derek and Romaine podcast empire, a lot of really fun gay shows, and for a monthly fee, you get my show early, and you get all these other great shows. So learn about that at dnrstudios.com. Oh, and I want to plug one more thing. The Mismatch Game, our 20th anniversary show, is happening on September 28th at the Renberg in Hollywood. There might still be tickets available when this goes up. Who knows? It's going to be a big night, and I'd love to see you there if you're in LA. All right, enough of the plugs. Here now is my interview with Garrett Clayton. Joining me now from New York City, it's Garrett Clayton. He's got 2 cabaret shows coming up. His show is called Hero to Villain. He's doing it in L.A. at the Catalina Jazz Club on the 19th of September, and then at Oscars in Palm Springs on the 21st. Welcome to the podcast.
Hello, thank you. It's so good to be here.
Well, I am a fan of your work. I'm a fan of your online dance videos and TikToks and Instagrams, but I first discovered you in the movie King Cobra. Which was a true crime story set in the world of gay porn. You played Brent Corrigan. It was 2016, I think. Mm-hmm. But that was when you were first on my radar. And then I went back and saw some of your other stuff like Teen Beach movie with Disney and stuff like that. So when the opportunity came up to talk to you, I was like, let's do this. I'm very excited. So tell us about Hero to Villain. It sounds like you're going to take us on a journey with your songs.
Yeah, you know what? I was going through with my friend I brought on as the music director, Gregory Neighbors, and as we were notating all like the body of work of things I've done and things I'm doing that I have coming up, I noticed that, which is also mirrored in like entertainment with queer performers and identities in general. They end up playing a lot of villain characters. Eccentric ones,
your Jafars, lots of mustache twirling,
the Jafars and the Ursulas and so, I started out my career playing a lot of these ingenue roles with Teen Beach movie. And when I was Link Larkin in Hairspray, and I did a few indies where I was like the ingenue boy and, very emoty. And now the latter years, as I'm going on in my life, I'm finding a trend of playing more villainous things. I was Pennywise in the It musical. I'm the devil in Exorcistic, which is going to be going off Broadway. And there's just like a slew, when I did a cover of Hocus Pocus, it went viral on YouTube, and now people expect me to sing it every year during Halloween at random.
That's become like a signature song for you now?
Oh, kind of. I actually did. I think was it 2 years ago. I went and did a Disney jazz night where it was dedicated to villains in October, and they had me do Poor Unfortunate Souls and Cruella de Vil, but it was rearranged as big band jazz numbers. And at the end of the show, I had people come up and they were so upset with me because I didn't sing I Put a Spell on You. And then it was at that moment that I was like, oh, people expect, because I didn't realize people would expect that of me every year now. Because I have friends sending me videos from like gay bars where they're playing it. So
right, it's become a thing. That's the thing. You put something out there, you don't know, it takes on a life of its own.
And I'm proud. I worked on it with a lot of people I really love. So that's why there's like this dichotomy of, because with Divine inspiring Ursula and, Frankenfurter being this like, I was just Frankenfurter last Halloween at a theater. And so I've noticed this, I'm noticing it in entertainment, but now it's reflecting it in my own life.
And you're putting it into a show. When you do your shows, your live shows like this, what are the crowds like? Are there fans that have followed you since Teen Beach Movie? And are there gay people? Are there what's the mix?
Honestly, I'm very grateful that I have a wide range of people and audience that watches the stuff I do. I think it's a really lovely community. And I've had a lot of my best friends, when people come up in public and want pictures and stuff, and when people walk away, 9 times out of 10, they're like, oh my God, they were so nice. And not everyone has people that are that nice in this capacity, when strangers are approaching you all the time. And I can confidently say 9 times out of 10, and I always tell my friends, I'm like, I'm very lucky with the people that like the work that I do. It's a kind community. And so there's a lot of people who've either followed me from childhood, but also with Teen Beach Movies, it struck this interesting chord because they were based off of like Beach Blanket Bingo and Gidget and all of these really famous 60s movies. So we had a lot of Disney Channel kids watching, but we also had this whole generation of people who watched it when they were growing up, who saw it and were like, oh, I want to see the thing that I used to watch when I was a kid. So I have a whole generation of people who watch Teen Beach Movie that no one would expect besides, it's like parents and grandparents were watching this thing thinking like, oh, it reminds me of, Annette Funicello and all of these wonderful memories. So I'm just really grateful for all of it.
Well, I love the way you dance. You've obviously trained. And when I first moved to LA in the late 80s, I was pursuing dance. We all wanted to be like Paula Abdul dancers. I auditioned for the Blonde Ambition Tour. But when I would take class back in the day, at least in Arizona, I was like the only guy. What was it like for you when you were learning to dance and studying? Was there a stigma around it, or was it cool? I just saw an interview with Jonathan Bailey where he said he loved ballet as a kid. And then and then one of his friends came and saw him in class, and he realized, I can't do this anymore. Like he stopped because of that kind of pressure, right? So I'm just curious about your dance background and if you had any of those forces at work, or did you feel free to do your thing?
I actually started dancing later in life than most people. Probably I didn't start like training until my junior year of high school.
Right on.
And that's only because, and it wasn't because I went to a dance studio. It's because I got to do dual enrollment at my high school with the local college. And I took a ballet class I picked for the semester, and the teacher actually pulled me aside after, and she was like, I think you're actually a very good dancer, but you lack all training that most people at your age would already have. So she said, I expect you to also sign up for the jazz class and the dance company. You're auditioning for it, because I think you're going to need these skills. And this ended up being the same teacher who taught Sonia, who is a choreographer for So You Think You Can Dance.
Oh, wow. Of course I know that. Yeah, I'm obsessed with that show. Yeah.
And so I owe all of my knowledge and love of dance in my crash course to her, because she really like pushed me and had high expectations that I didn't even have of myself, because I didn't know I had it in me. And I mean, it's a testament to teachers knowing how to pull these things out of students when they see that clay,
Yeah. She saw the raw talent in you. She was giving you that Debbie Allen energy.
She's very Debbie Allen energy.
Did you love it when you immersed yourself in it?
I did. I feel like that, I really started to immerse myself in the theater community at that time, because I had other, but when I got to that age, weirdly enough, I was working professionally, but I had never gotten like the real training. Yeah. So I did my first movie when I was 15. I started in commercial modeling when I was 13 in Chicago and Detroit. And so I've been working in all these professional environments, learning on the job. but it wasn't until I started getting involved in all of these things. Like there was 2 or 3 summers where I started doing 3 musicals at the same time. And my family was like, you're just never here. And I was like, well, that's because I'm performing in one show. I'm rehearsing one in the morning, and then I have to rehearse one in the afternoon, and then I have to go to the show. So,
right. That sounds like my college years. There were like a handful of days where I didn't have some show, and it was like a very, very happy time. Was there any backlash to you taking dance? Did people think it was cool? Did you ever get picked on or anything for that?
I think I got lucky because I don't know if the word is lucky, but I think because going to Henry Ford, I was so removed from my high school,
right,
that nobody ever saw the work I was doing.
It was like a double life.
They kind of saw it as like, oh, you get out of class early, go to hell. And I was like, well, I mean, I'm going to 5, 6, 7, 8 for like 4 hours, so I'm not doing nothing. But
the place was called 5, 6, 7, 8. That was the name of the studio.
No. I'm just being a smartass.
Oh no, I was like, that would be a great name for a studio. All right, I got you.
It might be.
Yeah. All right, I feel like it should be a thing already if it's not. Who were you, like when I would watch Paula Abdul videos and Janet videos, like that's what would light me up. And I could see in your style that you have a lot of influences in the pop world. Like who did you daydream about, or whose videos did you try to match? Do you know, but the point is, do you know the breakdown in Slave for You?
A little bit.
I learned it, but I lost it. But I learned it. I learned the breakdown for If. I could probably still do that at one, but yeah.
I started becoming obsessed with, not obsessed. I don't want to seem creepy. I really, really loved when I was younger, Sutton Foster.
Right on. Theater queen. Killing it in Once Upon a Mattress, apparently.
Has killed it in everything.
Have you seen it yet? I think it's open, but I don't know.
No, I haven't seen it yet. I'm in New York, but I have absolutely no time, so I can't see any shows killing me.
That's all right.
But I used to watch Thoroughly Modern Millie back to back, and that's the reason I learned how to tap dance. And I was I was like, I just want to be a boy version of Millie.
That might be the pull quote that is the title of this episode. That's a pretty solid quote. That was your thing. That's what you wanted to do. I
mean, there's a lot of like racial issues around that show, which I don't want anyone to think I'm not aware of. But what Sutton Foster did in that show was so wonderful. And it also felt like, I could relate to, like, she was a Michigan person, left after her first year of college, which I also ended up doing, not because she did it, but because at the end of my first year, I just had opportunities that it was either you take the opportunities to go and take the next step in your life, or you stay in college. And I was like, well, I have an opportunity, and Sutton Foster did it when she had an opportunity, so why wouldn't I take my opportunity? And so there was just a lot of things that, like, and I really, I think that is one of my, like, music theater heroes,
I love that. So when you're coming out to LA to seek your fortune, you've got a little bit of Millie spirit in you.
It felt like it. Yeah. I mean, I sold we had a big garage sale, and I sold everything I had, and my mom and dad were pulling like their couches out to sell them. And I was like, you selling our couch? And they're like, well, if it gives you an extra month of rent, that 1 month could be, the one day in that month could be the difference to change your whole life. Wow.
So you came out to LA with a dream, but did you have anything lined up, or did you just show up here with a dream and a lot of tap dancing ability?
So I had booked a few jobs, where one of them was a talent search from Days of Our Lives. And they flew me out to be in an episode where I got kissed and slapped. I got the full soap opera treatment.
Who did you kiss?
Taylor. Oh no, I can't remember right now. I think, how many years has it been? 14 years.
Did the same person that kissed you slap you?
Yes.
That's always the best. That's always how it should be. The slapper and the kisser should be the same person.
It's Taylor Spreitler. Taylor, who's had a wonderful career and has been so sweet to me. And she actually ran up to me a few years ago and was like, I'm so proud of you. I can't believe you've come so far. Because like when I first came out, I was just like this music theater kid who like booked a talent search and came to LA for the day, And then, but it shows you like my parents are right. Like anything can change in a day. Because of that episode, I went to her barbecue and met two people who needed a third roommate. And then 6 months later, I had done another movie that made me Taft-Hartley.
Right on.
And then I booked another talent search with another 1,500 people that were at it. And one of the producers on it worked at a talent firm that represented like Zoe Saldana and the Hemsworth brothers. And he called me. It felt like an old Hollywood call. And he was like, I think if you keep your head on straight, you could have a career in this business. And I was like, really? And he's like, yeah, if you ever come out to LA, give us a call and we'll take a meeting, and we would be interested in representing you as managers. So when I moved to LA, I had 3 months of rent, and a place to sleep, and no bed.
What were you sleeping on? The floor? A futon?
No, the person who was leaving the room let me use their mattress for a month.
Right on.
But yeah, and so I basically I had a room, I had I had Taft-Hartley, so I could join SAG. I could. And maybe a management company that maybe might want to represent me. And the next day I woke up and I got out of the shower and I cried because I thought I ruined my life.
Right on.
And then I found a job the day I walked down Ventura Boulevard, and I told myself I wasn't allowed to go home till I had a job, and I did it.
Where did you work?
Crave Cafe.
Right on. I know Crave, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was the night manager there for 2 years. I took care of that place.
They have a very extensive menu. That's a lot. They have a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They also have the most wide range of crazy you will ever see.
In terms of people that come and go there, or people that work there?
Everything
that happens.
If one more porn star or producer told me I needed to give up trying this acting thing and just make money off my ass.
You were constantly being scouted by porn people at Crave Cafe?
Every single day. They were like, stop being a waiter here, just go do porn.
Yeah. What are you waiting for? Straight and gay people, both?
A lot of straight people do gay porn.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of which, I went back and looked at King Cobra again, which is really a good movie, and you're so good in it. You really get that character's sort of precociousness, like he knows what he's got and he knows how to work it, and yet he's also kind of in over his head and lost. And I wonder what it's like to shoot the scenes where you have to be a bad actor. You know, where you have to do the dialogue. What is that like? Like, you're like, oh, shoot, that's too good. I bet it's really fun. But I bet you have to sort of like, I think you have to kind of thread the needle of being stiff but not too broad, right? Like, how do you do it?
I always think of it like, have you ever seen the movie Soap Dish?
Yeah.
It's like, I always think of it like that. Like, if you can find the comedy in it, because 9 times out of 10, it's like, most of the time, if you're having fun doing the bad dialogue scenes, other people are going to have fun watching it.
Right on.
And so for me, I was like, just have fun saying it weird. Just make it feel odd coming out of your body, but don't let yourself laugh.
Yeah. I like that. That makes sense. That movie was a big change of pace for you at the time, coming from your background. Looking back, did it feel like a big risk at the time? And how do you feel about it now? Because I feel like it really did kind of change the way you were perceived, at least in terms of the gay audience, right?
Yeah, well, at the time, I hadn't been out publicly, and so I got a lot of flack from most media outlets, like, here's another straight person stealing another gay role.
Right.
And so I felt like part of the community wasn't like really happy about it, because they were like, well, if you're, coming from a Disney background and coming from having some level of notoriety, you think you could shine a light on positive queer stories and not just this horrible negative one. And I was like, well, I'm arguably in a position where opportunities that come to people like me in my position don't often happen. And if I have a chance to show that I can show a level of depth with a group of arguably very credible actors and hold my own in these scenes with these people, then I can prove to myself and to the people who watch what I do, that I can have a level of depth and that I can earn the next step in an actor's career, because opportunities like that to show that kind of intensity and that kind of furious, like, there was so much. I mean, there was sexual energy, there was rage, there was a youthful, naive thing happening, and then, lying to your mother while you're dating someone, and you're also lying to that person about your age. Like, there were so many levels and so much. I still have that script. The amount of work I had to do to make sure that I honored the story and the material, it was so important to me to prove to anybody that is my audience that, like, I have earned your eyeballs. I wanted people to, even though they may or may not agree with the story, they may or may not have at the time known that I was a gay person playing a gay role, and I had plans, as I do now. Like, I just did a wonderful, beautiful story that went to Tribeca called Letterman, about the largest archive of queer love letters ever found. And, like, I had plans to tell the good stories too, but I couldn't get to that point had I not taken this risk. So I look back on it and I'm grateful that I had the courage to do it, and that the people on the other side of the table gave me the chance to prove that to myself and to other people.
Well, you were terrific in the movie. I really bought the whole thing. And to me, it reminded me a little bit about, remember when Miley did the video where it was "You Can't Stop" and everyone was like, it's too much, she's too sexy. Mm-hmm. But it worked. She wasn't Hannah Montana anymore. And you know what I mean? She got to show other parts of herself. I don't know. I don't know if that's a good parallel, but it was kind of like a big swing, and it was and it paid off. Did the people in your life champion you? Did your reps and your family and stuff say, this is a great opportunity, you should go for this?
Everybody was like, we'll have opinions, but it's your life and you should make it. And I really loved that. For them, it was like, if this is a risk you feel like you want to and need to take, that's like, we'll follow you through it.
Yeah.
And my mom was very protective over me with it, because at the time 50 Shades of Grey had come out, and is it Dakota Johnson's mom is Meg Ryan? Is it
Melanie Griffith?
Melanie Griffith. So Melanie Griffith had, when somebody was like, "Are you going to watch that?" And she was like, "No, oh my God," and made a big deal out of Dakota being like risque in the project.
And my mom, so uncomfortable. Right. Yeah.
Well, my mom got really upset when she saw that, and she called me and she was like, this is someone who literally, like, she has had a body of work, and you need to support your child in what they're doing. And she goes, "Garrett, if you do this, I support you through it all, because this is your work and you have to show every side of yourself, because that's your job as an actor. So, you go out there and you prove them wrong, and I love you." And I was like, "I love you too."
Your parents sound amazing, with the couch and the yard sale and, like, all of these different levels.
My mom and my stepdad are they have been my rock. And actually, fun fact about King Cobra, the producers, when they were selling it, a lot of big studios, because we premiered at Tribeca, were contemplating big offers for it to put it in like a couple thousand theaters.
Right.
And then all of them unanimously gave them separate calls saying, it's too risky because it's about gay porn. That had you changed the lead to a female and made it a straight story, we could have this come out and it could have been like a Boogie Nights for a woman. But you can't do this with a queer plot line, and we can't have this in 2,000 theaters.
Wow. So they were considering it, they thought of it, and then they realized, oh no, if it were straight, we could, but not this.
Yeah.
Even with Christian Slater and James Franco and, a really good movie. So.
Well, Alicia Silverstone ended up officiating my wedding because of that movie.
I love Alicia Silverstone. I interviewed her 3 times in the 90s. I did like her Detour cover. And one of my favorite things is she left a sweet voicemail on my answering machine. I still have it. She's sweet.
I love her.
She's awesome. And she looks the same. She's great. So I'm a big fan.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
We send voice notes. We send them frequently, and she's very, very, she's been very sweet over the years.
I love that. You mentioned your wedding. I noticed on your Instagram that the People magazine did a feature on it. I mean, I'm still at that age where you're like, wow, that's a gay wedding in People magazine. Like, what did it feel like, not just to get married, but also to have that kind of mainstream coverage? Like it was like a normal thing, like not a big deal.
It felt kind of wild because I'm like a Midwest kid from Detroit Metro. And then it just felt very grand and wild. I mean, the whole thing of it, because we were in like the Disney family, Roy's side are very good friends of ours. And when we were looking for venues to get married in, we were just kind of catching up, and she was asking what we were doing, and she goes, "Why don't you just get married in our backyard?" And we were like, "What do you mean?" And she goes, "Just get married in our backyard. It's please do it.
Look at it."
And she was like, I want this to be our present to you. And I was like, that's a really nice present, because it's the yard. It's one of the largest properties in the city, and it has like a big rolling hill, and all of the foliage is modeled after Hawaii. And they have, a fun fact, they have Snow White's wishing well in the backyard, and the Disney Imagineers built it after they won the Academy Award, before they were called Imagineers. And so it just felt like, and to be in there, and there's like, we're in this beautiful yard, and everyone I had grown up with was there. And it was, it's the whole thing of it. I ramble when I talk about it, cause I'm so blown away that day was such a gift. It was such a gift.
I love that. Where did you meet your husband?
When I worked at Crave.
Right on. Crave. He was one of the nice people that wasn't trying to scout you for porn at Crave. What should I get at Crave the next time I go there? What should I order? Like, what's the thing that's really good that people should know about?
Well, I know the owners have changed over, but if you're going to go, I don't know if they still make it or if they make it the same, but the most famous thing there, I think, is the strawberry Nutella crepe.
Okay. I'm going to have one of those.
And the chicken pesto panini. If I had to eat one more panini, I would have killed myself.
You had enough of the paninis. There's a line in King Cobra that I wrote down because it jumped out at me. It's not even your character, but I think you might have some thoughts about it. One of the characters tells the other, "You got the internet, so you never have to feel alone." And I just thought that was really an interesting observation, because it feels like you're connected to something, but so many times with the internet stuff, you're not really, and you came of age during that era. You do a lot of posting and stuff on TikTok and Instagram. I just think that that's interesting, to online life versus real life. Have you observed anything about that difference in your own life?
Well, I didn't, because I was like a 90s kid, so I didn't have internet when I was little. I spent most of my time like, you have to come in before the streetlights come on kind of kid.
Wow.
And so the internet happened while I was growing up. I had, AOL screen names, and like every incarnation of it I've lived through. Right.
So you went from nothing. You went from nothing to something, as opposed to always having it there. Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So like, I feel like I have grown up as it has also grown up.
Right.
So I feel like that perspective has made me feel like I'm somehow navigating staying mentally healthy. The social media aspect didn't really bloom for me until the pandemic hit, when I was going crazy in my house and TikTok started to boom. And I had 3 separate friends call me. One of them in particular, Ben Giroux, who is a very good friend, and was like, "Man, you got to get on this." He's like, you're so intense about wanting to be creative all the time, and this is like a place where you can do what you want to do, however you want to do it. And I was like, I've been working since I was 13. I'm exhausted. I finally get like a real break because the world is on a break.
Right.
And then month, like 2 or 3 came around, and I was going crazy. So I started making TikToks. And that's really where, to your question and to the point, because I'm rambling, I'm sorry.
No, it's interesting. I'm interested in this journey because it's a real big part of our culture now.
It totally, well,
and you're successful at it.
Well, and I feel like the shift has definitely happened through the pandemic, it was like all of a sudden, 60% of media is online. It was like before that, it feels like there's like the before times and there's after COVID.
Yeah.
And so when I first started really getting invested in creating social media, that's when I was responding to comments a lot. And that's when I was really engaged in the minutia of it all.
Oh, they didn't like this as much as they like that. Or what does that mean? Or, oh my gosh, or what somebody said this, they didn't like my hair. Or they like whatever, right?
Yeah. Well, and then also really learning like people are going to misinterpret things no matter how good your intentions are. People are going to and even if you're making the thing you think is the nicest thing to put out in the world, someone's going to have a gripe about it. So you just have to make peace with the fact that you cannot make everybody happy, and it is not your job to make everybody happy. So for my mental health, I've had to like step back from the comment section and just be like, if I want to make something positive and put it into the world, because there's sometimes you can spend hours on making a video and then it doesn't perform well. Because I also do like makeup transitions. I do fashion videos. I do dancing. If I can do some comedy, or I'll be doing concerts. Like sometimes people think I sound amazing singing something, and then you'll find the 3 comments in there that are like, you sound like a garbage disposal. But the problem with it is us as humans aren't we're not hardwired to be able to focus on the 20 positive when there's 3 negative, because we're creatures of change and we always want to be the best version of ourselves. Right. So I find even people, if it's, people don't want constructive criticism, you're still going to get it on the internet. So you have to just make peace with the fact that you cannot make everybody happy, and you have to be okay with making something great and putting it into the world, and not it doesn't matter what the views are. It doesn't matter what the comments are, as long as you are proud of the material you put in the world. I guarantee you, if one person sees it and it makes their day better, then you did your job.
There it is. Does it feel like work to you, or does it feel like fun?
It depends on the day.
Yeah. What's a video that you did that you didn't think would do well that did? That you thought, oh, this is fine, but it kind of was like, oh, people really respond to this.
Oh, you know what, actually? It's funny. I've never been asked that, but it came to mind immediately. There was a video where it was a TikTok, and it was the Ugly Betty in Spanish. And people, you like use makeup in the wrong ways, like you over contour and you overly dark your eyebrows, because people are always filling them in, but if you block them out, they look crazy. Right. And you smear lipstick all over your face. And I was like, I look like an arguably crazy person. Like, I don't know if the comedy's going to read, or if people are just going to be like, no, you're way past the joke, dude. You look crazy. Right. And it ended up blowing up, and it did really well.
Yeah, you just never know, I guess, right?
And I'm glad everyone liked it. So that was nice.
Yeah. And then you can collaborate with other people, and it sort of becomes a community of people that are doing these same kind of things. I also feel like sometimes if something's too polished, it doesn't pop. Like if it's a little – have you noticed that? If it's like, oh, we could go back and fix that, but we'll lose something if we do, right? How does your perfectionist mind deal with that medium?
It depends on the video you're making, because if you're making something where you're trying to match cut, you want to be really slick about it, because it's got to be beautiful. Like if you're doing like a transition or something, you want it to feel really smooth, because it's the illusion of the magic of it. Like it's watching a special effect happen, but it's not, because all you did was a match cut edit. And like that should feel really smooth and fun to watch, because if you can't see the cut, how fun is that? But if I'm making a dance and something goes wrong, or a costume piece flies off, or someone laughs at us in the background, I'm like, keep it. It's funny. And 9 times out of 10, someone who's watching is probably going to say something in the comments about it. And that's great for engagement.
Yeah, so it works. What's your best dance? If somebody was only going to watch one of your dance videos, where did you really kill it?
I'm going to take it out of social media and say probably my best dance is doing Surf Crazy in Teen Beach Movie.
It's so good. I've watched it a few times. How hard was that? Did you guys work your asses off? Like everyone is on it, and they're not cutting away.
Yeah. We had trained for it. Like they had us doing an hour of workout yoga lattes every morning before dance rehearsal. they had us doing yoga.
Disney kids do yoga lattes before they start doing stuff. Interesting.
Before we rehearse. Well, it also depends on the choreographer and in like what they are expecting of you, but they were really intense with our training. We had surf lessons, and then they didn't decide till the day I was supposed to shoot the surfing stuff that they wanted it to be actually like the 60s and they were going to green screen. And I was like, well, at least I got surfing lessons out of it.
Right. And you do choreography with somebody on your shoulders at one point, right?
Yes.
That's always fun. That must have been a challenge.
Yeah. And that number also went over a couple days, but it was very hard because the second movie they realized you can't have people dancing and doing pirouettes on the sand because you're drilling a hole into the ground.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're trying to hold the frame here for focus, and the head is doing this. So at the second movie, they had boards under the sand so that we stopped sinking. But the first one, we didn't have time to just suddenly do that. So they had built this, the Big Mama set, and they had a giant crane. It felt so old Hollywood. I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. And we did like the surf crazy thing, and I had to spin around and like open up my arms while everything flew out. And to land that spin on the sand was very hard.
Well, I started watching it and I was like, oh, they're going to cut away because this is hard choreography. And I'm like, he's doing every fucking thing. Like, he is crushing this choreography. I was very impressed. So I would definitely say that's a great showpiece. When you meet other people that have done Disney movies, have that in their background, is it kind of like you went to the same high school? Is there a bond that you share having come from that world, not only in terms of the experience, but also the fandom? Is it like, yeah, I get it, like a bond?
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's a bond between a lot of us in that Disney Channel, Nickelodeon, Freeform, like MTV when it still was doing those teen shows. Like there's a lot of like that period of time in that category where a lot of us are like, oh yeah, we have that experience together. It does feel like Disney was a high school. Like I went to Disney High for a while.
Yeah, you went to Disney High. Like, what class were you in? And like, it's a bonding thing. Like, you and Sabrina Carpenter would probably bond over that. She was a Disney veteran, right?
I think they had started their was it Girl Meets World that Sabrina did?
I don't know. I'm confused.
I think that was around the time that we were doing the second movie.
Yeah. The second one. And the thing about those movies is people watch them over and over. So they're not just fans, but they know every little thing, right? There's a attention to detail. What are some of the things people would say to you that you're like, wow, they've seen this? I don't even remember that, but clearly they love it.
Honestly, I think the thing that's really resonated with me is people's love for the characters.
Yeah.
The way they love Tanner is very interesting to me. Because sometimes people meet me and then they're like, oh, like they see him in, obviously because I'm him, but like there's like I don't know if some people can see the difference.
Right.
But other people, and actually to the internet points, I've gotten so many comments. Anytime I do anything like hyper queer, I'll get a lot of comments of people being like, this ruined my childhood, which actually in my show, I wrote a song called Garrett, Clayton Ruined My Childhood because so many people commented that.
Right. Because like I watch your videos, you play with gender a lot. You do drag and all of this stuff. You know, I mentioned when I was coming up as a dancer, we were always trying to not give it away. We were always trying to move butch. Like I think it's still in my generation. I think it's still a little bit of our thing. So when I see you so free, wearing heels, all of it, it's kind of amazing. Can you talk about why that's fun for you and what you enjoy about it?
I think because I was under lock and key for so long, for like the first 6-7 years of me really like having my break and having my image tailored and the way I spoke tailored and the way I was allowed to act around people, the way I was supposed to answer questions, the way who I should and shouldn't be hanging out with. I was so under lock and key for so long, and all of it
would be very easy to put you in a box and say that's what you do.
Well, and a lot of people still, you know, I don't think they realized like a lot of opportunity, even still today, is like off of perception, not off of ability. So like, you know, I'll get opportunities now where sometimes people will be like, is Garrett okay if we don't know if we should offer this to him because it would offend him. And I'm like, why would it offend me? I'm still able to play those roles. The only thing that's changed is your perception of me, because I'm not hiding who I am anymore, but I'm still the same guy who did that job 15 years ago. So so now I feel like I'm on a hell mission to show people that it doesn't matter whatever box other people want to put you in, there you can carve out a lane for yourself no matter who you are in this industry and find a way to be successful. Because if people don't want to work with you because their vision of you is limited, because you're expressing yourself freely, then they're not going to be working with a free artist, because a free artist is somebody look at like a Tilda Swinton. If somebody told Tilda Swinton to stop being so wonderful and, free, then Tilda Swinton wouldn't be Tilda Swinton. And that's the kind of person I look up to. Like, I want, when I'm at the age Tilda Swinton is right now, that people can look at me and be like, Garrett Clayton has played a variety of roles in a fascinating amount of ways, because he never let anyone limit his creative ability. And it is my hell mission to make sure young people know that you can carve out a path for yourself, no matter what anyone's expectations for you are.
Do you hear from young people that you've inspired in that way?
I've heard from young people in a variety of ways, and it's really given me a lot. I feel the responsibility on my shoulders to stay true to myself in a way that, like, when I was younger, I was so afraid of never working again because I was told nobody will hire you if you are who you are. And I don't even have half of the things against me that a lot of people do in different minority groups, in different gender groups, so I can't even wrap my head around the things those people are up against. So if me being, a white boy who is just gay, and that is enough for people to deter people from hiring me, and I'm up against something, I should, looking at the challenges those people are facing, I feel a responsibility to be emboldened and to be like, I stand with every other person who's queer or in minority groups, women. Like, I see us all together in this fight to not be limited by anyone else's expectations of what creativity and freedom looks like.
What did it feel like when you came out and that thing was off your shoulders? Did it feel liberating, or was it like, oh shit, what have I just done? How did it feel?
At first it was liberating because I just made it an Instagram post, and then I went to go work out for an hour, and then
and you're like, oh shit, what did I do?
It was after, because I thought nobody would care. I really did. I was just like, only people on my Instagram are going to care. But then I got hit up. I saw news outlets around the world were picking it up, and everyone I knew was texting me links to everything and being like, oh my God. But honestly, I stood behind it, and I still stand by it.
I love it. Was there something that prompted that moment, or did you just feel like it?
It was very intentional, and I talked about it a long time with my now husband, Blake, because I wouldn't have the voice I did now if I sucked it up to get through all the crap I had to get through.
You mean the voice as an artist, like generally, but not like the singing voice, right?
Yeah, because the unfortunate reality of the world we live in is, like, if I didn't have the resume and the credits I did, nobody would want to talk to me about this stuff.
Right.
And so I knew it was told very clear to me by the people who were representing me at the time that I don't work with anymore, that nobody wants to fuck the gay guy. They want to shop with him. So we're going to have to figure this out. Fuck. So that is the thing that
they literally say that stuff. They say those things in those meetings. Yes,
it was told to me at the Polo Lounge. I remember.
At the Polo Lounge of all places. No, it's such a cliche, and it's so kind of mean in a way. Like, you're talking about me. Like, you're talking about your client. Like, ugh.
But that thing is, those are the gatekeepers, and those are the people who they hold the keys to your opportunity. And when you're young and you don't have a resume, you have no power in the situation, you either give up and remain and stay voiceless, or at least the position I was in, I made the conscious decision to be like, I'm going to let my life be hard for a few years.
Right.
And when I'm finally in a position of power, I can come out be honest about who I am, and have a voice to stand up for people that are young and that are in my position that feel like they don't have to do that.
Yeah. Where do you think that sense of mission comes from? Is that kind of how you were brought up to, like, because I think other people would be like, you know what? I'm going to go for the money. You know what I mean? I'm not going to risk it. Where do you think it came from for you?
I think it's the way I was brought up, but also seeing so much of the injustice in it, and also kind of sick of seeing the same carbon copy thing all over the place. Like, that's why I bring up someone like Tilda Swinton, because I'm like, I like that type of performer. I think I want more of that on my movie screens and TV screens. I want to be that. I want to be kooky and weird and, fuck the binary and have fun with it. Like, I want to be able to do movies as these wild characters, going back to like hero and villain. I want to mesh the world of characters and just be able, by the time I leave this world, I want to leave a legacy of just like wild creativity that can inspire other people to have it for themselves.
I think that's beautiful. When I think of people that are in the closet in whatever way, it's almost like they have two jobs. They have whatever their job is, and then they have the other job of keeping the secret, of not giving it away, of not slipping up. Did you feel that second job? Was it something you thought about a lot? Or was it just like, you know what, I'm just going to keep my mouth shut and do my work?
You mean at the time?
Yeah, before you'd come out.
It just felt like I was two different people.
Right.
I completely, because everyone thought my big secret was that I was gay, but my big secret is that I was in a long-term relationship with somebody. I was living I felt like I was in like a real rom-com. Like one of those like crazy love stories where you met somebody before your whole life changed, but you love each other too much to let it go. So we had so many difficulties. Like, he didn't want to go to events with me because he didn't want to have to pretend he didn't love me, and I didn't blame him for it. But then I ended up having to go to these events with people trying to flirt with me, and having to act interested in women, but knowing that I didn't want to invest so much.
It couldn't go anywhere because you were in love with somebody else.
It couldn't go anywhere, but I also didn't want to be offensive because I'm a gay man who respects women.
Yeah.
And so I was like, how do I have to keep this lie going while trying to find a way to like respect the boundaries of all of this. And it just felt like I was being torn in half, and it really messed. I had to go to therapy for a few years but I'm a much stronger, happier person because of it.
You weathered it. I think it was Ian McKellen, and I've had other artists say this, that once they were liberated from that, their work got better. They were freer in their work. They just got better at what they do. Did you notice that in a very palpable way?
When I first came out, it was a struggle because the opportunities had completely shifted. And then once the time happened where I stopped, because it takes time to take off all those layers of the things they put on you and tell you how to be, And
it's a lot to unpack.
Once I stuffed all that off, I've been so busy. I was just in DC doing work with the Human Rights Campaign. I'm in New York headlining a fashion show at Fashion Week. I go to do my one-man show, and a month ago I just finished a new movie.
What's the movie?
It's called Our Family Pride.
Oh, I was reading about that. Yeah, it sounds great. Tell us a little about it.
It's about a dad who comes out late in life, and it blows up the family. It's about a 2.5 hour movie, and it follows every family member's plotline in full.
Excellent. Where is it going to be? Is it in theaters, or is it for television?
I am not allowed to say yet.
All right. Excellent. What character do you play?
I'm the oldest son, but the oldest queer son, in which I like it. There's an interesting plot with that because the dad having so much inner turmoil and the way he treated, I'll just use the character. I'll say me in place of the character.
Sure.
So in the film, the way that he would have treated me when I was younger, and him being like, it's a phase, or you'll get over it, or how do we get you, how do we fix this, or whatever. And there's so much inner turmoil in the movie with my character and the dad, because it's like, you want a hall pass and to be accepted right away, but you didn't give it to me for years.
Right. Yeah.
So now what the fuck am I supposed to do with this? So I'm like, I get to play this like lavish, fun, crazy guy who like, kind of says fuck the binary and like dresses really fun and has really great quippy lines. And I get to talk a little bit old Hollywood sometimes but has so much inner turmoil about the way he was treated when he was younger that it ultimately like, it kind of feels like the Alfred Hitchcock theory of like, the bomb theory. Mm-mm. So the theory is a lot of his movies are based around the idea that bomb theory is that there's a bomb. If there's two people sitting in chairs,
right,
there's a bomb under their seat. We as the audience see the bomb.
Right.
They don't know the bomb is there.
Right.
So you're watching a 2-hour movie and you're like, oh my God, when's it going to explode?
And these people don't know. Yeah.
When is it going to explode? I'm the bomb.
Oh, you're the bomb. That's cool. That's a great role to be the bomb.
It's and you know what? It has so much depth and it has so much, there's really wonderful positive moments and there's a lot of really sad, fucked up shit. But I like that I keep saying, I like that there's so many layers to this character, so many layers and messages in this movie. And I think what they've done with like the levity and dealing with hard topics is I think it's going to be really fun for people to watch. And also, interesting emotionally for them to watch as well.
I love that. You were in the Hairspray Live when they did it live on television.
Yes.
What do you remember about the live moment? Are you really trying not to mess up? Just the liveness of it, because it's going to live forever. Everyone's going to be talking about it. Like, I just feel like it's a certain kind of pressure. It's like a live stage show on Broadway, only it's going to live on forever.
Well, I've done about somewhere between 20 and 30 musicals in my life.
Yeah.
So at this point, and even at that point, I really didn't feel that nervous about it.
Right.
The only thing I look back on and I'm upset about is that I had a Mucinex and it kicked in right at my solo. So I took everything in me to sniff up my snot as least as possible.
Right.
And the only other thing is they really pushed hard for me to sing it in the key I sang it.
Right.
But if I had it my way, it would have been one step up because that's where my voice resonates better. So those are the only two things. If I could fix two things, I wouldn't take Mucinex and I would push harder to have the song in my key.
But I bet it was exciting as hell as it was unfolding. Were you present for it? Did you feel like, oh, wait, it's over? That's it?
No, it was incredible.
Yeah.
As soon as it ended, I was sobbing because
we're done. That's it.
Well, but it was also so much grandeur. They built a whole new soundstage for it. We had a third of the Universal lot. We had 2 rehearsal sound stages. We had a whole soundstage just for Crafty. We had another building just for in a massive building just for wardrobe. We had the New York set. We had the Back to the Future set. We had it was the grandeur of it all. It was so it was just so, and everything was handmade and everything was so taken care of. And the cast was incredible and the talent was so vibrant. And just getting to see how human and lovely everybody is. Frankie and Ariana ended up becoming, and their family and their mom, Joan, all of them have been staples in my life now because they're so kind and they've ended up they take care of everyone around them so well that it really certain people like Jennifer Hudson, I know, we still text sometimes and she ended up becoming a friend because of that. And it was just because I am kind of silly all the time and we were bored in the record store and I picked up a 45 and I put my lips in it and I was like, do you think this looks like a butthole? And I pushed and she literally was like, you're crazy. Sit down. Let's talk. And so then we talked about, she was like, I want to know how you got started. And then I wanted to know how she got started. And then she told me her best friend is her manager. And she, has worked with them since working on Disney cruise ships and being the lead muse. And it's just there's just so many good memories. And Martin Short stopped me right before the finale. And he was like, I think you're very, very talented and you're going to go really far in this industry. And I'm so proud of you. And you did great work. And I was like, Martin, this is really nice, but you can't say this right now because I'm going to cry. And we have to do the finale.
That's so sweet. He said it before the finale.
It was right before I was running to go run around the stage to walk in with Ephraim Sykes.
How exciting. You want to hear a good J-Hud story?
Yes.
As a journalist, I got to go to the set of Dreamgirls. They were doing a big number and they invited all these journalists. And then there was a meet and greet after and I got to meet her. And I said, I loved you so much on American Idol. Your rendition of Weekend in New England by Barry Manilow was just my favorite. And she goes, give me your email. I'll send it to you. And I was like, she was going to send me the Weekend in New England thing. And damn it, she did it. She did it. Yeah. She followed through. So anyway, I wonder if I have that on a computer somewhere. Anyway, just a couple more things I want to ask you about. Doing the social media stuff, it feels like as an actor, you're doing things yourself. You're not waiting for the phone to ring, right? Do you like that entrepreneurial part of it? Does it feel empowering? Or are you like, you know what, just put me on a series. I just want to be, this is a lot to do. How do you feel about that part of your work?
I love that part of it. My family are a family of entrepreneurs. They have owned businesses. They've built houses. I spent most of my time when I was a kid on construction sites, taping off windows and mixing cement. Like there's an entrepreneurial part of my life that I don't know. It's just ingrained. It's a part of my being. And if anything, it feels like that was neglected for so long. And that was the thing that made me suffer the most, I think, in my career, was waiting for permission from strangers.
Right.
That social media removed, because now I have this thing that I can choose to do whenever I want and have autonomy in it. And all the traditional stuff I choose to do because it's fun and I love it. And you know, the industry is in turmoil right now and it's bleeding so hard. And everybody I know that is just doing specifically traditional stuff. They're having a really hard time, like producers and casting directors and actors and artistic, you know, like I know so many people who are losing their houses and they're having to move and they're switching industries. And I'm grateful that I adapted when I did and that I'm able have different lanes to exist in this industry, but not everyone has that luxury. And so I'm really like, as time is going on, I feel like my perspective keeps growing and it makes me more and more grateful that I've carved out a place for myself in it. And that, I mean, don't get me wrong. Whenever I end up on a TV show, I would love to do a job for, 3 to 10 years if it's successful. I would love that. I would love to be on a show for a while. But even if I'm on a show, I'm still going to be doing this stuff because I grew this business.
Right.
And to me, this part of the business, because it's all a business, but like this part of my business has a piece of my heart that it's like nobody else grew it. It was me alone in my room playing with makeup and clothes and dancing, like, creating with friends and I got to create content on the movie I just did. Like, I love that it's a part of it's infused its way into everything I do in so many different ways that even if I'm on a set doing a TV show for, however long, whenever that part of my life happens, this is never going to go away. This is just everything just folds into each other because jobs come and go, but like my life is continuing and my social media is a part of my life.
Right. And it's something you can control. You're not waiting around for somebody else to give you permission. Yeah. Does it come into play when you're maybe up for a part, or like how many followers does he have? Do they interact in that way, or is it separate?
I haven't had that come up specifically as much as I've had it come up for a lot of other friends.
Yeah, interesting. So your shows are coming up. I have one more question for you, but I just want to remind everyone that the 19th of September, you're going to be at the Catalina Jazz Club here in LA. I'm going to be there. I can't wait. The 21st, you're going to be at Oscars in Palm Springs, a place that I've done shows, and it's really fun. Is there anything else you want to get a plug in for, or people can always find you on your Instagram and social media and keep up with what you're up to? But is there anything else you wanted to plug or mention?
Right now, I'm sober. I'm a little travel weary, so I'm just going to say, please come to the shows. And it would mean so much to me to see everybody there, and look out for Our Family Pride. There's a couple great projects in development right now and a few opportunities that, I'm talking to other companies about. So, always lots of exciting things coming. And I'm just, thank you to anyone who listened this long and is staying along for the journey.
I love it. What's the hardest song in your show to sing?
I think it only will feel like the hardest song in the show to sing is because it's one of my first originals.
Oh, so you've got some originals in the show.
I'm only singing. I mean, besides Garrett, Clayton, Ruined My Childhood.
Yeah.
I'm singing. It's like a Michael Bolton style ballad called "Boy with a Broken Heart."
Wow. Beautiful. I love it. All right. I'm excited to see it. Here's my final question. What's the dream gig? What's the dream scenario for where your career goes?
I would say the quickest thing I can do is I want to be on a sitcom, and I want to play Elder Price in the Book of Mormon movie.
Oh, yes. I see it. I totally see it.
I'm dying to be Elder Price, and I want to do it in the movie.
Right. I love it. Well, I'm going to put that on my dream board and see if we can manifest it. Garrett, it was delightful to talk to you. I look forward to seeing your show, and everyone should follow Garrett online and come see your shows if you can. Thank you so much for this conversation. I loved it.
Of course. Thank you so much.
Thanks again to Garrett. Clayton, go see his cabaret show, Hero to Villain, if you're in LA or Palm Springs this coming weekend. Otherwise, follow him on Instagram and keep up with all he's got going on. All right, so this happened. I wanted to get away. It was sweltering hot here in Los Angeles, so I went to visit my friends Scott and Peter. They live in Cambria, which is on the Central California coast. They have a lovely home there, not far from the water. And I took my dog Enzo, and he loves it up there. He's been a few times, and there's these like boardwalk pathways that you can walk on, and I just get the feeling when he's walking on them that he just loves it. He loves a path. Anyway, when he had his health scare earlier in the year, I just remember thinking, if he gets through this, I want to give him adventures, because he loves adventures. And do our pets really care if they're having experiences? I think they do. There was an article about that recently in New York Magazine. Because, like, if I'm packing up a computer bag to go work in a coffee shop, or, like, he can get kind of excited and want to go. But if I'm packing a suitcase for somewhere else that's, like, that feels more like a getaway, he's flying around the room wanting to go. So I think that he does sense that there's fun in the world to be had, and he wants to have it. So thanks to Scott and Peter for being such wonderful hosts. We got to see elephant seals lolling around on the beach. And apparently that happens most of the year in different, phases of the migration of the whales. And at one point, I guess in January, it's just a fuck fest on the beach with these gigantic elephant seals mating and carrying on. Anyway, it was beautiful. And as I was driving up there, it was like 106, 107 on the thermometer. And I'm looking and I'm like, I'm not that far from Cambria. And then I just kind of have my last 45 minutes to go, and boom, by the time I get there, it's like 70 degrees. Like, amazing. Anyway, it was a wonderful getaway, and it's good to do that once in a while. All right, that's enough for this week. I want to thank you all for listening. I want to give a shout out to Oscar Rosario for mixing the episodes. My theme music is by Mark Daniels for Placement Music. We'll catch you next time on Dennis Anyone. Bye!